Wouldn't it be hard to actually become a published author when we don't start acting like the person now? Then how in the world are we actually going to become one for real? I don't know who needs to hear this, but you do not act like a writer the moment you officially become a paid full-time author, or the moment you sign your first book deal, or the moment you publish your first book. You become a writer the moment you start acting. And I have to be honest, it's really hard to behave and think that you are or embrace the identity of a writer when you don't have a book published, when you don't have a book deal, when you're still working on the messy first draft of your book, or even worse, when you tell people that I want my career or my job to be a writer or a full-time author. I want this to be my job. I don't want to do nothing else. And then they say, "Oh, that's risky. That's not a safe career at all. You need to pick something else that's more safe for you." When society doesn't really respect writing as a real traditional job, you don't receive income or payment for doing the thing you love every day. So it's really hard to embrace the identity of being a writer when you don't have any external validation with it. There's no receipts, no proof, no backup, nothing. So how in the world do we embrace the identity of being a writer? And recently, y'all, I started listening to one of my favorite podcasts. Everybody knows who it is. Even if you're not a podcast girly, the Mel Robinson podcast. Y'all know that famous line or quote that I know everybody's probably heard. It's act like the person you want to become. And then she says, it's not fake it till you make it. It's intentionally acting like that person. That quote right there stuck with me. And I think what she's saying is that action comes before confidence, and your brain, action comes before confidence. Your brain believes what it sees. Y'all, after listening to this quote again, I went down a rabbit hole on Google. I was just Googling psychology behind that quote, and it led me to this term called behavioral activation. So basically, a therapeutic method used for people that have depression. And so basically, in a nutshell, you act before motivation kicks in. And a lot of times with people that have depression, they wait for when their body and their mind is just ready to do the thing or the task or the hard thing they don't want to do, when they wait for it. And this is probably a poor example, but I'm just going to say that you need to get up out of bed and you need to go to the gym and move your body because you haven't moved your body in a while. But it's easier, your brain talks you out of it, and it's easier for you to just stay in bed all day rather than get up and just go to the gym. Or so it's basically your brain talking you out of the hard task before you actually take action with it. So what behavior activation does, it basically just flips it on its head. You know what? Take the action before your motivation kicks in. And I feel like it relates. I know that's just for people with depression, but I also feel like it relates to people that have an identity. I don't want to say an identity crisis, but struggle with accepting an identity they want to align with. And I think that also goes hand in hand with accepting the identity of being a writer. It's really hard to start acting like a writer when you don't feel like a writer. It's really hard to start acting like a person you want to become when you don't have external validation of a book deal or income or money coming in from your book sales, or when you don't have your book published yet, or you're still working on a messy draft. It's really hard to embrace this identity. And so what Mel Robinson and behavior activation is basically saying, and it goes hand in hand, is that you have to act like that person before you feel like it, before you're actually that person to begin with. There are two loops that writers go through, and one of them is the trap loop, or the aspiring writer loop, as I like to call it. And first is the trigger. You stare at a blank page, no ideas, or you got a rejection letter, or you feel the pressure that you have to be a pro. And honestly, sometimes when I get in front of the camera to film, I feel the pressure that I have to be a professional writer to even talk on camera or to make YouTube videos, because I feel like I'm not at that level yet. The emotional response where you feel anxious or you feel doubt or you feel uninspired, and then you just feel overwhelmed. Oh my gosh, y'all, I gotta rewrite this whole draft again. This is trash. Beta readers are going to look at this and laugh at me and wonder what the heck was she doing. Then you find yourself entering the trap, the avoidance. And this is where you don't write at all. You tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow, or you know what, I'll just do this next week. I don't know about y'all, but then you tell yourself, oh, I gotta research, because obviously I don't know enough about the information to write about it. So I need to do some research. And then you go down a rabbit hole researching this and that. Y'all, I know I'm talking a little bit about YouTube here, but I do that sometimes before I even like decide to film or pick up the camera, which is a habit that I find myself breaking right now. The urge to film how to grow on YouTube before I actually take action. You tell yourself, I gotta wait for inspiration to come to me. And then you get on Pinterest, you find photos that feel like the vibe of the scene you're trying to write. And you spend time making a whole Pinterest collection to the point where you have over 50 photos in one Pinterest collection. And then you find yourself with the consequences, the reduced confidence, and the reinforced belief, I am not a writer. And you go through this loop over and over again. You sit down, you try to write, you think it's cringe, you close the laptop and you walk away and you tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. You know, I will do it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes and you never do it. Now, the action loop is different. You sit down and you say to yourself, I'm just going to write for 5 minutes. You know what? I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on myself. I'm just going to sit down for 5 minutes or maybe 15 minutes and just start writing. I'm going to set a timer and just write. And you write despite whether it's good or terrible. You write anyway, and then you close your laptop and you walk away and you show up every day the same way. You write no matter what your mood is, no matter if you don't have any motivation, no matter if it's good writing or bad writing. You just know that at the end of it, that what my writing is going to make me, every time I show up to write, my skills in writing improves. And your brain sees that and it's like you're basically telling yourself, you know what? We're writers here. We are becoming writers. Your brain starts accepting the identity because your habit align with when your brain sees the habits and it's like, oh, this is our identity. This is who we are. We are people that are writers. So I had to audit the identity and had to ask myself, what does a full-time writer look like? So how do I step into that identity and act like that person when my reality says otherwise? Every author routine, schedule, day, and life look so much different than the next author. Some of them are part-time, some of them are full-time authors, and their schedules just look so different. Everybody's routines, habits, everything looks so different. So I can, and honestly, we can try to mimic or copy theirs exactly the same because everybody's lives look so different from the rest. One of the tips that I found is to treat your writing time like it's an important appointment, an appointment you would not even cancel on. When you have an important meeting at work, you're not just going to say, oh, I can't make it, or it's optional. And when it's like a doctor's appointment, you try to find a way to make sure that you can make it to your appointment on time. You don't want to cancel or miss out on your doctor's appointment because you know that is important and necessary for your health. And that's the way that we should treat our writing as a sacred time in our day. That's to be protected at all costs and not interrupted. And if I told myself that every evening at 6 o'clock, if I told myself every evening at 6 o'clock that I am going to be writing for 1 hour, I will time block it in my calendar. I will let family and friends know, hey, I can't hang out, or I can't be disturbed right now. I need at least an hour of downtime or quiet time to myself, and then get back with me after, or try to get with me before I sit down and write. And I feel like when you see your writing time as an important appointment or an important meeting, your brain is like, this is non-negotiable anymore. This is something that is not a hobby anymore. This is something that we are taking very seriously right now. I put my phone on do not disturb, or you know how Apple, you could put modes. I literally have a writing mode where I put on there for an hour, just block all notifications, block all messages, anything. Like, you don't have, I try to keep my phone away from me because sometimes it's really easy to just scroll on TikTok or post Pinterest on your timer, because you know how you have your writing session and there's little breaks in between, 5-minute breaks, and it's really easy to get on your phone and to just scroll. And I try not to do that, but so it's a habit I'm still working on, trying to keep my phone away from me, because it's so easy to scroll social media, get distracted, and you lose your train of thought, your concentration, and your creativity because you want that instant dopamine hit. I try to pretend in my mind I just clocked in today. We are clocking in. We're at work right now, and even though like work is fun and creative, artistic right now, but we still clocked in. We're treating this like a full-time job. We're getting paid at the end of the month. This is our job, and we have a boss, and which is ourselves. But we clocked in and we're not distracted by our phones, because at work you can't be on your phones and stuff scrolling. And I think it's just very helpful when you have a set time that you show up to your writing every single day, because I tried to change at different times. One day I write at 4, next day I write and try to write in the morning and all that stuff. And I feel like it creates decision fatigue because you try to figure out I feel like it creates decision fatigue and you start overthinking when is the best time to write. I would just lock in the clock at work hours, lock in a time you show up to every single day. Monday through Friday, we are writing our book at 6 o'clock. No matter what, we're writing at 6 o'clock. Protect that time as much as you can. That is our work time right there. And I feel like it takes decision fatigue, overthinking out of it. And also, I try to track my work. I do this on Notion where I track how many hours or minutes I spent writing and how many words I got, just to show myself as receipts and proof that I am being consistent and I am showing up, working on my goals. Especially, I like to do this not just to keep track of word count and all that stuff, because honestly, I know a lot of writers value word count. I value more of how much time I spent with my book. The reason why I do this too is because on the days where I feel like I am failing, you know how you have those days where you feel like you're not making any progress for your goals. When I see the times and the days I logged in that I wrote today, or how many words I wrote, how much time I spent in my book, it's just showing me like, Hannah, we are working toward our goals. We are being consistent. Each day we're taking one step closer to completing our goals. Y'all, let me tell you, I have been doing this one habit this year that it seems small and unimportant, but it has been making me feel so happy, and it uplifts me and it motivates me. Technically, I started doing this habit back in 2025, but it's like collecting receipts or celebrating the small wins. Now, back in 2025, what I used to do, I used to go on Notion, and every time I had a small win, maybe I gained one subscriber, or maybe I finished at least 10 chapters of a book writing it, I would write it down on Notion and date it. I just write it down. But now in 2026, what I do, Apple has this app, it's called Journal. And what I will go on there and literally just write down anything good that happened to me or take a photo of it. When I reached 500 subscribers, I took a photo of it. Excuse me. When I reached 500 subscribers on YouTube, I literally took a photo of it and put it in my journaling app. And when I finish the second draft of my book, I'm going to take a picture of the last chapter or the last sentence. And I am literally just going to put it in my journal app. When you celebrate the small wins, the big goals or the outcome doesn't seem so far away. When you're chasing after a big goal, trying to get your book published, it just seems like it's so far away. It seems like it's impossible. We have no control over a lot of times of the output goal, but we do have control of our input. And when I see myself showing up every day and making small progress, it motivates me and inspires me and encourages me that I'm getting so much closer to the end goal. And I feel like I have control. I've tried to focus more now, y'all, on the things I can control versus the things that I can't. I can't control who buys my book when I'm done writing it. I cannot control whether this person watching this video wants to subscribe to my channel, but I can control that I sit here on the floor and just start filming and talking to the camera. Let me tell y'all, I just look forward to writing in my journal. Journaling is just so good. But I don't want to go on a rant with that. I don't want to detour what this podcast is talking about. Do y'all remember that method Mel Robinson said in one of her podcasts? It was the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. When you had to do something very hard or you're not in the mood to do it, just count backwards and just get started. Sit at your desk and count backwards 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and start. And then I wouldn't even stop there. I would set a timer for at least 10 minutes and I would do a warm up. Y'all know those websites where you have the prompt generator? I would literally go on there, copy and paste a prompt, and I would try to write for 10 minutes as my warm up. It may not be my story project, but it gets me into creative mindset. After the first few minutes pass, I start writing and the creative flow kicks in and I just keep writing and I don't want to stop. I make the timer longer and I stayed longer at the cafe, longer than I wanted to. But let me tell y'all, I was having the time of my life just writing. Get it everything down. Every action you take, no matter how small or how big, it's just like a vote and it's telling your brain that this is who we are. The moment where you time block on your Google Calendar, the moment you write 500 words today, or we sit down and read other people's books and actually study it, and that's when you start becoming and behave like a writer. You don't start acting and behaving like a full-time writer the moment you get paid or the moment you get your book published. You need to start out with that person now. Wouldn't it be hard to actually become that person, to become a paid full-time writer or a published author when we don't start acting like the person now. If we don't embrace the habits, routines, or the actions of a full-time paid author now, then how in the world are we actually going to become one for real? If you're not implementing those habits today, and if you're not acting like that person today, then it's kind of hard or difficult or impossible to even become a published author or become a full-time writer or be an indie author. It's really hard to be that person if you're not acting like that person today. But anyway, guys, that is it for today's podcast. This is it for today's episode. I hope you all really enjoyed today's episode. And if you have any other topics you want to talk about or anything else you want to discuss, y'all let me know in the comments below. And let me know what are some topics or things that interest you. And like I said, y'all, I am an aspiring author too. I am someone that's trying to step into the identity of a writer, even though I'm not a full-time writer. I don't have a book published. I don't have any payments coming to me or income coming to me because I am a writer. I am learning and growing and becoming just like you are. So with that being said, y'all, I will see you all in the next episode. And until then, bye. One of the hardest parts about doing anything is starting. Starting anything has to be the most hardest thing you can do because you have no idea what you're doing. It's something brand new to you and you have the fear that you're going to do it incorrectly. Trust me, y'all, I've been in a position before where I was just really scared to start my first draft. I would go down a rabbit hole of Googling, watching YouTube videos, and just researching how to write the first draft rather than getting started. And let me tell you, sometimes all you need to start is just a little push and a little bit of guidance. That's why I made this first draft freebie and template that I linked down in the description below that can help you just get started, because sometimes all you need is just a little push. And I guarantee you this template right here is going to help you get started on the book of your dreams. 2026 is no longer about daydreaming and wishing that we had and wishing that we could. 2026 is a year that we actually take action on the things we want to do and the goals we have set. So if you want to start working on your dream novel or the book you've been obsessing about for the last few months, years, and maybe even days, I recommend you grab the freebie down in the description below.